It is a triangle with a red light in the middle.
It's rotating.
My name is Jeremy Corbell. I'm an investigative journalist and documentary filmmaker. I've been putting out information through my new show, which is at weaponizedpodcast.com, where we're breaking news. Me and George Knapp, investigative reporter out of Las Vegas, Nevada. You might know me from my films, Bob Lazar, Area 51, and Flying Saucers, or Hunt for the Skinwalker, which is on Hulu. So for the first time, the American public got to see an image. It was contained within a classified audio-visual briefing about UFOs to destigmatize UFO reporting by our armed services. This image, which is designated UAP, unidentified anomalous phenomenon, is within this classified report. However, it is inherently unclassified, and this is why I could release it to the public. The importance of this image of the Mosul orb is it comes from a 4-second video at the beginning of that presentation. And I think I can say now that presentation was generated by a man named Jay Stratton. Jay Stratton was the head of the UAPTF, so UAP Task Force. Why this is so important is that the Mosul orb is the first time that the American public gets to see a bona fide designated UFO or UAP. They mean the same thing, but from a conflict zone. And this is really important because we know that these objects are being seen and encountered on a daily basis by our warfighters off of the East and the West Coast. But it's actually a global phenomenon, and it gets complicated once you track one of these through one of our spy planes over a conflict zone. We run into the problem of potential crossfire. As you know, we are shooting things down over the United States of America now without really identifying them before we shoot them down. So the rules of engagement of how and why we can fire upon objects, it is completely being rewritten right now to this day over the last week. This is a problem because if we get two nations firing upon these unknowns, these unidentified flying objects, then what we have is a potential for crossfire, a potential for each country thinking it's the other's asset. And this goes way back into history with something called the Foo Fighters, which is in World War II. These objects that were spherical and metallic and self-luminous, they would track our planes. They would be on both sides of the war tracking our planes. We thought they were each other's. Well, I can tell you with 100% verifiable certainty that multiple nations are firing upon these UAPs in war zones. So we know they're not Russian, we know they're not Chinese, and we know they're not ours. So the big question looms: whose are these? Whose are these? These machines that outpace, outmaneuver, and overperform anything that we have within the US inventory or any known terrestrial inventory. No flight controls, no plumes of heat, no discernible means of propulsion. Who has this technology? Which nation? If it is a terrestrial nation, whose nation? This is a national security issue. Who has these machines? I find it very disturbing that the Department of Defense, and specifically Susan Go, who is the only person that is frontward facing to the American public to talk about UAP, she is anointed and designated as the one spokesperson for the DoD on the UAP topic. Why is it that all of a sudden, even though this image is contained within the same classified briefing as all of the videos and images that I released with George Knapp when it comes to 2019 off the West Coast, why is it now that the DoD is unwilling to comment on if this image is one, filmed by the military, two, initially designated as UAP, and three, part of the active UAP investigations of AARO, which is All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, which is our government's new UFO study program. Why has the policy changed where the American public is not being told the truth about the Mosul orb image? Why have they not released the video? This is not a classified, not an inherently classified image. The American public has a right to know. They also have a need to know. And I personally feel a duty to find out. This object is not unique. The Mosul orb is not unique. It represents something without flight control systems that fly with impunity over our restricted airspace. This is happening on a daily basis, but being able to release an image from a video of one over a conflict zone should really raise the hairs on the backs of the neck of the American public. Because the fact it's in a conflict zone and the fact that your Pentagon is lying to you through obfuscation, there is no reason the American public shouldn't be shown this video. There's no reason the American public shouldn't be shown this video. There is no reason that any of this should be held back and hidden from the American public. We are all dealing with this too. The American public is dealing with this too. Our warfighters, from Commander David Fravor to Commander Underwood to Lieutenant Ryan Graves, the Red Rippers, the Black Aces, everybody that defends our nation, they are encountering these, and it's a flight safety issue, if nothing else. But I will say this, UAP is designated at a much higher level than just safety of flight. There are bigger concerns about UAP, concerns that deal with the idea of weapons of mass destruction. Do these objects, do they carry payloads? Who's operating? What's the origin? What's the intent? None of those questions have been answered to the American public. So the first thing the Pentagon can do is start being honest with the American public. They can tell them about the Mosul orb. They can tell them that this is not unique, it's happening every day. And they can tell them that the Mosul orb is designated UAP and is under active investigation. All of this should be done. And in fact, I challenge AARO, I challenge them to release the video to the American public. There's no reason they can't do that.